Happy Wednesday. Today's day 2 of the Carly Gregg recap. At the end of the day, the state has rested their case, but I'm going to tell you all about what we saw on day 2. Hello, welcome back to the channel. I'm Rebecca, your host, and I recap live trials so you have something to listen to while you're crafting. If you're not a crafter, you're welcome to listen to as well. You don't have to be a crafter just to listen to my recaps. So this is a case against a 15-year-old who's being tried as an adult, Carly Madison Gregg, in the state of Mississippi, Rankin County, Mississippi. Oh boy, it's not a whodunit. After yesterday, we know who done it. Yeah, she did. There's no question about that. So today, and I'll recap it tomorrow, we're going to find out why she did it. So this happened on March 19th of this year, 2024. And the first witness on day 1 was Heath Smylie. Now, Heath Smylie is Carly's stepfather. He was a victim in this case. So you're going to see footage today during this show that was in the kitchen, some in the garage, some in the kitchen. So you're going to see, I think you saw the garage footage yesterday. Today you're going to see the kitchen footage. So she and her mom come home from school, and she lets the dogs out. Mom proceeds to go into her room, and I don't know what she's doing in there, but she does take some stuff out of there. You're going to see this footage later. You're going to see all of it. And Carly brings the dogs back in. She heads towards her bedroom. I guess she sees that her mom's there, and then she kind of goes out. She picks up her pace a little. Like, you don't see anything unusual. They're not fighting. They're not really speaking to each other. They're just like casually going about their day. She's letting the dogs out. She's letting them back in. But once she sees that her mom's in her room, she like hightails it to her mom's room, comes back, and the next thing you see on the camera is she's hiding the gun behind her back. And you see her go past the kitchen doorway, and the dogs are following her. And the next thing you hear is 3 gunshots, and the dogs are barking. You hear her scream. And then Carly comes back and picks up her mom's phone. Now, we know from the evidence that Carly enters her mom's code into that phone, texts her father, "Honey, when are you coming home?" And he said soon. And so she calls one of her friends to come over, and the friend comes over. She has her friend step outside, and then when her stepfather walks in, she shoots him. He suffers a through and through to his right shoulder. A bullet goes in, comes out, and he grabs her weapon. He grabs the weapon and wrestles it from her. And 2 more shots go off, but they don't hit him. They hit the kitchen walls. And he's able to get the weapon away from her, and she flees. So that was a long story, but that's what happened here. So the first person on the stand is Heath. He's 39 years old. So maybe a few months younger than his wife, Ashley. He met Ashley in the spring of 2019, and they got married in the summer of 2020. He was asked a little bit about Ashley's former husband, and he said, he was a drug user. And he said, anything you can name, this guy's probably used it. Anything. And he said that when Carly was around, he'd like blow smoke in her face. He had her drink a beer when she was 12 years old. So not getting the Father of the Year award, this guy. So when he asked about Ashley's relationship with Carly, he said, she always put Carly first. They got along great. She only got in trouble, like he said, we didn't have issues with her. The only issue was her mental health. She was getting therapy, and he doesn't know for what, because he never went into the sessions with her. Sometimes he would take her to the sessions, and he would sit in the waiting room. And he knows that she was just, within days of the shooting, put on a new medication, taken off a medication and put on Lexapro. Now, he didn't know the names of these medications. I still don't know the name of that. We have not heard what this other medication was. I'm sure during the defense case in chief, we will find out what this medicine was. But she's taken off of it. So he says, but she's not one of these kids who's always in trouble. So he said she does a lot of arts and crafts in her room. And at one point he told her that, when he was her age, he had a pocket knife, and he showed her, and she wanted one. So he bought her this pocket knife. Well, she got caught in school with it in her pants pocket. And the school has a zero tolerance policy, and they suspended her, or I don't know what the name of what they did to her was called, but they put her in an alternate school for several months. But then they put her back. He says she was so smart, super, super smart, always ahead of the teachers. She knew more than the teachers. And the kids knew that she knew more than the teachers. And what has come out, she also got in trouble for cheating on a math test. And how she cheated was she got the answer. She photographed the answers to this test. And apparently someone dared her to do this. So she did it. Anyway, she got in trouble for that too. So with respect to Carly's cell phone, she would, her parents had parental controls on it, and they would not let her go to bed with it at night because they were afraid she'd be up all night on TikTok. True. I know how these teenagers are. My granddaughter, she put them sheet covers over her head. You take them down, she's on her iPad on TikTok. Anyway, so, and then there were days where her mom would not let her take it to school. He did say that she had an issue with cutting herself. She would cut her thighs with not the knife he bought her. Good Lord. That's not the kind of arts and crafts I'm into. No. All right. So he thought she was getting therapy for anxiety and stress. So he said that morning, March 19th, there was nothing different about Carly that morning. After school, his wife had texted him. He says school gets out like 3:15ish. They live about 5 miles from the school, so 10 to 15 minutes getting home. And she texted him, I'm going to go to the grocery store. You want anything? And he texted her back. He wanted, Mountain Dew and I don't know what else, something else. And it turns out she didn't make it to the grocery store. She didn't go to the grocery store. So at 4:15 or 4:14, he gets a text. You almost home, honey. Now, something about the phrasing of this bothered him because it just didn't sound like his wife. Maybe she doesn't call him honey. I don't know. So he just couldn't put his finger on what was wrong with that text. Now we know that text was not from Heather, his wife. It was from Carly.
Gentlemen, exactly what you remember about when you came home on March 19th, 2024.
Everything seemed pretty normal, and I came on in, and when I opened the door to the kitchen there, gun went off in my face before the door was, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches wide open, and everything kind of went pretty fast from there. It was a blur. So.
I want to take you back just a step. Yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, saw a bit of a video from inside your house, but just so we're clear, when you say you were coming into the kitchen, I believe you pull into the garage and there's a door that leads from the garage into the home.
Yes.
and there's a little laundry area,
Yes.
and then there's another door kind of beside your refrigerator that leads from the laundry room into the kitchen area.
Yes.
Were you were you coming in the first door or the second door when the gun went off?
The second door from the laundry room to the kitchen.
And do you remember, is there anything you do every day when you come in the house?
Usually stop and take my shoes off there and come on in and change clothes.
Do you remember if you took your shoes off on March the 19th?
I think I did. Yeah.
Was it unusual for that second door to be closed in your house?
Sometimes it was, sometimes it wasn't. We would shut that door a lot of times, trying to keep the sound of the washer and dryer down, or trying to keep one of the dogs out of the garbage can that we had in there.
I have to do something similar. Y'all have two large dogs, right?
2 golden retrievers.
And so on that day, the second door was what was closed.
Yes.
I believe you said that you didn't get it open probably 5 inches before. Do you remember seeing Heath?
Just gun flash in my face, and went off 2 more times, but my hand was on the gun after the first shot, and I twisted it from her.
Who was pointing that gun at you?
It was Carly.
Who pulled the trigger when you opened the door?
The first one I know was Carly. After that, my hand was on the gun too, and I know I had a scratch on my thumb and all. I very well could have hit it. I know that third time.
How close, Heath, was that gun to your face when that went off?
Maybe a foot.
Did you ever get struck by
through this muscle here?
What did I feel like?
I know this sounds weird, but I honestly have never felt it to this day.
When the gun went off in your face, tell ladies and gentlemen, I mean, was your body in a state of shock?
Not at that moment. I was trying to figure out what was going on.
Did you?
No.
Walk us through. You said that you were able to at some point run from her. Did you remember after that?
She was screaming out of her mind, scared. It was like she had seen a demon or something. She was terrified. And my first thought was there was an intruder somewhere, and she thought she was after somebody else.
And to be clear, Carly never told you that she thought somebody else was in the house, right?
No, that's the feeling that I got. She was terrified out of her mind.
And at that time, you did not yet know that your wife was dead, right?
No, not at that time.
He talked about the Ring camera. They have it's not a Ring camera. It's, we know it as a Ring camera, but it's a brand called Wyze, WYZ. They had one out front so they could monitor it for deliveries. That was sort of the newest one. They had one in the garage that the cops didn't find out about right away. During their investigation, they completely overlooked this garage camera. And they had one in the kitchen. So the kitchen one had an SD card in it. And apparently this kitchen camera is found later on inside the refrigerator. I don't know how they got there. But when they're doing their crime scene investigation, they see a cord coming down from what they presume would be a security camera would be there, but it wasn't there. So later on, Heath discovers this camera in the refrigerator. He takes the SD card out and he wants to give the police what's on the SD card. So he puts it into a computer that he's not familiar with. It was an Apple computer. He says, I'm a Windows guy. So he thought he was copying it and pasting it, and then he was going to send it to the police. Well, instead of copying and pasting it, he copied and deleted it, or anyway, he just moved it. He transferred it to the Apple computer. So he calls the police to come over and get it, and they look at the SD card, and it's blank, and they're like, have you been tampering with evidence? And he's like, tampering with evidence? No, I mean, it's right here. It's on the computer. I thought I copied it. It didn't copy, but it's all right here. This worried him so bad that he went and got a lawyer, because they're talking about charging him with tampering with evidence. He says, I told him, you can have the computer if you want. Take the whole thing. I don't care. But what they did was they confirmed, somehow they were able to confirm by examining the computer, that nothing had been deleted. Nothing had been deleted off the SD card. Nothing had been deleted off the computer. So it was fine. He didn't get charged with tampering with evidence. And of course, the cops, when they took the stand, like, no, we never threatened him. No, we just told him what tampering evidence was, and, told him from now on, if you have evidence, just call us. We'll get it. Okay. So following this whole incident, the court instituted a no contact order between him and Carly, and he actually had his lawyer get that taken off, because he wanted contact with Carly, and he has daily contact with Carly now. The court removed the no contact order, and they talk every day. They have a very good relationship. So it sounds like he's in her corner, even though she killed his wife. And it looks to me like when you see her at her table, she's got some grandparents that are right there, and they seem very supportive. So on cross-examination, I need some coffee. Hold on. They show the garage cam video. And I'm going to show you that now. So the next witness on the stand is a coroner. So this is one of those areas where they have a coroner as opposed to a medical examiner. And I've discussed this before. The reason they have coroners is because there's not enough medical examiners for every county to be able to afford. Well, there are enough, but they can't all afford a medical examiner. So they have these people that are hired as coroners. They are not doctors. They do not do autopsies. They just go out. They see if a death is natural or unnatural, meaning is it appear to be a suicide? Does it appear to not be from natural causes? Does it appear to be a homicide? And they will decide when an autopsy is to be performed, and then they will send the body over to where there is a local medical examiner to have that done. But the ultimate signature on the death certificate is the coroner. Now, they wait for the report to come back from the medical examiner, and they usually just write down whatever the medical examiner has written down. And in this case, the cause of death was 3 gunshot. I thought it was just 2. 3 gunshot wounds, 2 to the head, 1 to the neck. And the manner of death, of course, was homicide. Then they put on one of the investigators, Tyler Burnett. I guess they don't have crime scene investigators in Rankin County because he did the equivalent of what we know a crime scene investigator would do. And he spent quite a bit of time on the stand going through all the photographs that he took, evidence that he collected. He at one point showed the gun to the jury. It's just a regular silver gun. Nothing pink about it, like the last case. Then he talked about how he was actually in court that day and on his way home from court testifying, and he hears the call. So he's actually goes lights and siren over to the scene and is the first investigator on the scene. So he actually helps have the police units cordon off the neighborhood so Carly could not get away from wherever she was in the neighborhood. And that's why I think they took her into custody quite quickly. So once she was in custody, officers swabbed her hands for gunshot residue. Then they swabbed the inside of her cheek for DNA. So with respect to the gunshot wounds, they surmised that 2 were from a little bit of a distance. And because of the stipple that was on the body, stipple means that a gunshot has occurred closer than 36 inches, 3 feet. So the wound to her neck was closer than 3 feet. Now, we don't know what order, we'll never know. Then he talks about how later on they get back to, it took them all afternoon and evening to process this crime scene. They get back to the police station late that night after midnight, and they get a knock on the door, and it's a parent with his daughter. Hello, my daughter was at that crime scene and you might want to talk to her. So I think you saw in the footage that I showed you either today or yesterday, the 2, Carly and her friend running away. This was her friend. So the father had brought the friend into the police station to have her tell her story. And she told the story that Carly had contacted her and said, there's an emergency. Can you come over? So her dad drives her over there. And I don't know if he dropped her off or did she not tell her dad, hey, it's an emergency? If your daughter says, I got to go over so-and-so's house, it's an emergency, are you going to wait to hear what the emergency is? Or, I don't know. It's a teenager. Everything's an emergency. I don't know. Anyway. Then when she gets there and Carly answers the door, Carly says, are you squeamish? And she's like, no. So then she takes her in the house and shows her the mom. Then Carly tells her that she had 3 shots for her mom, and then she has 3 shots for her stepdad, and that he's on his way home. You want to wait in the backyard? So she goes outside to wait. And after Carly runs out, they both run, and they actually split up. They run to different locations. Now, on cross-examination, I don't know why the state is not showing this footage, but on cross-examination, they actually show the kitchen camera body cam footage, and I'm going to show that to you now. But and it's kind of eerie because you know that this woman is not got more than 5 more minutes to live, and everything seems perfectly normal, absolutely normal, nothing out of the ordinary. Watch it.
Mr. Camp, counsel for the defendant wants to go over there. They can't tell. Oh, you have a screen. Okay, I apologize.
Watch it. Is that crazy? I got chills when I heard the gunshots and the dogs barking, and then you see Carly come back and she's not upset. She's not terrified, because maybe I forgot to mention it, but her stepfather testified that when he took the gun away from her, when he wrestled her and took the gun away from her, she looked terrified, like she had seen a demon. That's not the Carly you just saw on this tape after she shot her mom. She doesn't look terrified. And then we also heard the juvenile that was the first witness or the second witness on the stand, who we didn't get to see, who said Carly was very upset. She FaceTimed him, "You need to come over here." And he got on his bicycle and went over there. She does not look upset. When did she get upset? Now, I don't know what kind of mental illness they think she has, but if you're having an episode because of your mental illness, I don't think it waxes and wanes. I don't think you I don't know. I can't wait to hear from what the doctors have to say about this whole thing, how they're going to explain this, because you kill your mom and then you act kind of normal, and then all of a sudden you're upset, and then you're terrified. What? It makes no sense. But what's really scary is if she's not mentally ill and she does this without provocation, maybe she needs to be incarcerated. Okay, so then the next person on the stand is the lead investigator. He interviewed the boy, the 16-year-old that came over on his bicycle after she said, it was urgent, he needed to come over, that she needed help. They copied his phone so they could have, they downloaded a copy of his phone. He was the officer that attended the autopsy and collected the projectiles. There were two, one in the back of the brain, one in the back of the neck of Heath Smylie. Then 3 people from the forensic laboratory, the Mississippi. And the first one was this trace evidence supervisor. He basically testified that the Carly's hands were swapped for gunshot residue, and yes, she did have gunshot residue on both of her hands. Then we had a DNA analyst testify who said that the cheek swab showing Carly's DNA matched DNA on the gun. And then we had a firearm tool mark examiner who said the projectiles matched the .357 Magnum from the home. So, okay, we know that it's her. It's her. State rests. And then the defense moved for judgment of acquittal, saying that state, in the light most favorable to the state has not proved a prima facie case of murder. And the judge is like, nope, this is going to the jury. So that's where it ended for the day. So today we're going to start off hopefully with a physician expert. I don't think this girl's going to take a stand. I think that'd be crazy for her to take a stand. I don't know what she could say. She's only 15. First of all, I want to know in the comments, do you think she should be tried as an adult? I'm not so sure. Maybe it's because she looks very childish. They've got her looking very childish. Today she's in this black 3-piece, black button-down suit, almost very similar to the one she had on yesterday. Yesterday's was white, today's is black. Very demure, the little haircut, and not the teenager you see on the videos. So we know there's evidence out there to support that juveniles, kids this age, their brains are not fully developed yet. There's still a lot of development going on in that brain. So I don't know if I agree with trying her as an adult. But I hope, and I know, it's it's the law. They have to take all that into consideration upon sentencing her later on. The brain development issue. But anyway, I digress. So today's Wednesday, guys. Tonight I will be live at 7 p.m. Central. I'm going to be doing my Halloween. I'm going to start my Halloween carriage. This is miniature building blocks, similar to Lego, not Lego. It's from a company called Loz, L-O-Z. I find their instructions to be very easy. And we're going to start it because it'll take a hot minute. It is 839 pieces. So we'll start it. I'll open a few bags of lots and lots of teeny tiny pieces tonight. So I hope to see you then. If not, I'll see you tomorrow. We'll see how it goes today. If we're going to get to a verdict, I'll let you know. Have a great day, everybody. Take care. Bye.